started the Scrub Hub in April 2020 during the COVID-19 lockdown. I work in film costume, and I heard that colleagues in London had set up a Scrub Hub, and I looked for one locally. The closest to me was Manchester and Liverpool, and because of the restrictions of travel, I thought that would be a little bit far. On the 3rd of April, I got up in the morning and set to work to start a Facebook page for the Scrub Hub, put an ad out looking for a sewing team, and made a GoFundMe page because we needed to raise money for fabrics. Within 3 days we had orders coming in from medics in hospitals, GP surgeries, and we already had a sewing team established. The first 3 weeks were incredibly busy. We were trying really hard to sew as many scrubs as we could to get them out into the community as fast as possible, but of course it takes time to make a set of scrubs, so we always felt like we were chasing the orders. In the end, we made over 400 sets of scrubs and raised £4,860, all of which was spent on fabric to make the scrubs and some money for petrol. But we couldn't have done that without donations from the public, which were incredible, and that kept us going for as long as we needed to cover that gap of where no scrubs were available.
My name is Paula. I'm Fleetwood born and bred, and retired a few years ago, and just love Fleetwood. Sewing was a hobby for me from when I was younger. Being the build I am, I couldn't get clothes long enough in the leg to fit me, so that's why I started doing sewing. But my mother was a sewer and relations were a sewer, and so it just came naturally, and yes, it was a hobby, and I ended up making lots and lots of my own clothes because it was cheaper to do so. Whilst the lockdown's been on and doing the sewing, the time has absolutely whizzed by. It really has. It's amazing to find out how many weeks down the road we are now. And the thing is, when I start sewing, I'm obsessed. I sew and I sew. I can be up till 1 o'clock, sometimes 2 o'clock in the morning. It's just that once you get the bug, everything else goes out the window. Unfortunately, at the very beginning though of the scrubs, the first lot of scrubs I made, my sewing machine broke. So I did end up buying a new sewing machine from a local shop. She facilitated it for me. And yes, I got a computerised, more or less, sewing machine that threaded itself, did buttonholes itself. So then I found out I had my old sewing machine fixed. It was only a fuse. And the last big project I did was my daughter's bridesmaid dresses. And I've learnt a lot. It's been a challenge for me because I've been doing patterns from scratch. I'm not a pattern maker. I'm just a home dressmaker. But I made patterns for the bridesmaids' dresses, and so I made initially, until the Scrub Hub gave me the patterns, I did make my own pattern, and they were appreciated very much by the lady that I did a sort of like made to measure for her. But then I got onto the Scrub Hub, and I won't say how many I've done because everybody's done an awful lot, and it's been good contribution that we've made. I think it's been wonderful. I am using the offcuts of the fabric that the Scrub Hub gave me. I am making masks. I'm making face masks, and that's basically it. I'm using it up. I believe in recycling. I'm not going to just throw it out. I will do something with it. And a friend of mine, a local hairdresser, hoping when she goes back, she's commissioned me to make some face masks because she needs them for her and the staff. So yes, I'm just crashing on with that at the moment, but I am having a break. It has been, it's been a challenge, but it's been entertaining. And my kitten loves my sewing box. She's tipped it up a few times. So yes, it's been, I've enjoyed it.
I'm Julie Mulrooney, and I first saw a link on Facebook to the Scrub Hub in various parts of the country, so I decided to then look and see if there was one in my local area, and I'm happy to say there was. I started learning to sew when I was about 6 or 7 years old. My gran taught me to sew on a very old treadle Singer sewing machine, and I just loved it, and from about the age of 11, 12 I've been sewing everything from dolls' clothes to friends' clothes, and then I graduated and did wedding dresses, so I did my own wedding dress, I've done my daughter's and various friends. It was great actually, it was a proper release because I work full time in travel, which is not the good business to be in at the moment, but so anything to, we're always constantly busy, so having something to take my mind off everything and something that I enjoy doing was an absolute godsend. A bit repetitive, but it was exciting as well because it wasn't just sewing for me or friends or family. I felt like I was contributing as well, which was brilliant because my daughter works in the NHS and I'd heard a lot of behind the scenes stories from her, which filled me with horror, to be honest. So it was really, really nice to have something positive to contribute, really.
My name is Katya. I'm a dressmaker. I've got my little sewing studio at home. I do dressmaking, alteration, and all kinds of sewing. My grandma was a dressmaker. She taught me when I was little. All my life, I'm just learning. Here you go. Obviously, I do mostly one kind of, and I returned back myself years ago when I was in production, so it was okay. It's just a bit difficult to start cutting from scratch because it's not one kind, it's a lot of kind, and busy, fun, and nice experience. From the beginning was like, okay, let's calm down and get relaxed and do what we have to do, stay at home. I have a lot of things to finish because I have them before the lockdown. It was difficult because you cannot see your friends, you cannot travel where you want. You cannot go for a walk even when you want to do normal shopping. Well, we survive. I'm starting with my appointments from tomorrow. Will be probably difficult because we have to keep distance, but I cannot fit my bride to be from distance. Obviously, we will use masks. Don't think so. I will use gloves for fitting. I don't know, but I just will manage somehow. I'm originally from Bulgaria. We get married 6 years ago with my husband. He's an Englishman. So when I'm here mostly 7 years, I love here. I love everything, people, and I'm free to do what I love to do. And I have a lovely customers, and I love my baby girl. So we are very good settled down here. Happy, married Bulgarian woman. So here you go.
Hi, I'm Bethan Jones. I heard about Scrub Hub through one of my friends that I work with, so she passed your details on to me, and I contacted you pretty well at the start of it all. I studied at Holmes College in Manchester, going back an awful long time, doing my Sitting Gills in tailoring, and then in the early 80s I did my BTEC in industrial tailoring, but my life's been around manufacturing, bespoke tailoring, and leading me on to looking after high-level customers, and then 9 years in Bermuda. So in the Scrub Hub, it's been interesting. Interesting to see all the different levels of people that are working within the group. But for me, I would do it at any point. If in future times anything happened like this again, and Gillian, who's the head of the Scrub Hub, wanted me to work with her, I would be very happy to do that. My belief is that if I'm able to actually put work forward that will help our frontliners who are doing a job which I just can't imagine what they're having to deal with on a day-to-day basis, this to me is my little put forward as any type of help I could give, I would happily give. Two thought processes about this Scrub Hub coming to an end. The first one is that will mean I will be actually going back into my part-time job, which is back into tailoring, which really is my main area of expertise. But the little group, hopefully, when all this is clear, there'll be a dinner for us that we'll all meet up for dinner and get to know everybody. I know names and I know some faces now, but it would be good to be able to meet up. It's been a little community, and that's been very sound. I think we should be very proud of ourselves.
So I was helping behind the scenes with the social media campaigns regarding raising money, and also working with the group of sewers, trying to keep them engaged and give opportunities maybe in other things other than just scrubs. The lockdown has been quite hard actually. I work full time with multiple jobs, and I've also got a 5-year-old little girl who isn't at school obviously. So it's been quite difficult to manage being a parent, being an employee, and not feeling, and an educator actually, and not feeling like I'm doing any of those particularly well. So my background is communications, so PR and marketing in the public sector really. So started off with local authority, but I did a long time in NHS communications, which the Scrub Hub really just totally hit a nerve with me, and really wanted to help. Then more recently been working in the arts sector, which again is public money, and working raising awareness of arts and culture locally. I don't think people understand how time-consuming running a Facebook group is. People think they can just set up a group and it all runs happily, but there is a real need for people to help, and there is a certain level of responsibility that you take on when you start administering a group, because you take on the needs and wants of the people who are in that group, and you feel a real sense of responsibility to make sure that they're getting out of it what they need to get out of it. I think everybody involved with it has to be so proud of what happened in such a short amount of time, and it was really reacting to sort of a national outpouring of love for the NHS, and also rallying together in times when it's really difficult for everybody. And I just felt really proud to have been part of it, and felt that even though I haven't made any scrubs, I hope that I made a difference to the people that were making them.
I'm Martin Coyne, and I ran a backyard half marathon, which is 1,800 shutter runs in this back garden for Fylde Coast Scrub Hub. At the beginning of lockdown, we're trying to find ways to keep fit in the house and in the garden, because you're limited to 1 hour outdoor exercise a day. So one day we did a 5k park run in the back garden, and the idea grew from there really. If I could do 5k, why can't I do 13 miles? I'm quite a keen sportsman. I go to the gym quite a lot, play badminton, tennis, and do quite a bit of running. I've done several 10Ks in my lifetime, a few half marathons and 2 marathons, including the London Marathon in 2018. So a backyard half marathon seemed like a different kind of challenge. The hardest thing about the run was just keeping going really. Normally on a run you can close your mind off and just put one leg in front of the other and just keep going naturally. Whereas, because it's all shuttle runs, you had to keep thinking about the turns each time, so yeah, that was hard. First 1,000 or so laps, I kind of quite comfortable because I was going at a slower pace than what I would normally, and then the last 800 got gradually worse and worse, more painful. That's one. Until the end, I was very glad to stop. Normally when you do a marathon or half marathon or any kind of run, there's normally other people around you running with you or crowd following you, crowd watching you, sorry. Whereas this time it's just Gillian in the garden with me and nobody else around, so it felt very strange to be honest. Nobody to pace making with you or nobody to run alongside at all, so you had to keep motivated by yourself. But Gillian gave lots of support.
I am Christina Shepherd. I live in Thornton. I found out about the Scrub Hub by looking for you, and my sister-in-law in Hampshire was making scrub bags, possibly going to be making scrubs for her local Scrub Hub, but they weren't needed down there. So I went hunting for you. I did a Google search and I found you, and that's how I became a sewer for the Fylde coast. My background in sewing is just domestic, even though I've done wedding dresses and things in the past for friends and family in a village down south. I've only ever been a domestic sewer. I enjoy doing it, family, friends, for presents. So I would have been professional if I'd have gone down that route instead of hairdressing, which I wish I had done now, but I can't change the past. I enjoyed doing them mostly. I found it hectic in the beginning because I wanted us to get an order out faster than I could sew. So I found it hectic. Mostly enjoyed it, felt under pressure at times because I knew that they were wanted in the beginning more than towards the end. But on a whole, enjoyed it, and I felt that I was doing something for such a good cause. I was furloughed from my job as a waitress from a restaurant locally, so I had lots of time on my hands, so it was easy for me to just down tools from everything else and just sew. Groundhog Day. It's made me want to sew more. It's really, I've relived my passion for sewing, and I've got excited about doing the pattern scrubs from the plain scrubs, and I really want to sew everything I wear, really. I want to have a whole new wardrobe of stuff that I've just done individual. Nobody else has got one. And I last weekend applied for the Great British Sewing Bee. So yes, really made me love it again. Personally, I've made 124 garments. That's individual garments, not complete sets. So obviously half of that for complete sets. And I've altered a few others as well from other people, incomplete orders. So yeah, been busy these few weeks. We've started doing other stuff in the house, stuff that we wanted to do. Haven't got round to, but we've now done that this last week. So when I did my last piece, yes, I was sad, but I'm over that because we're able to now get on with jobs around the house and sorting out other stuff. But it was quite kind of strange getting up one day and not having the sewing machine there because I put it away. It'd become part of the furniture.
Hi, my name's Mark Shepherd. In normal day-to-day life, I'm a forklift technician. However, when the pandemic hit, I was furloughed straight away, and through my wife, got to know about the Fylde Coast Scrub Hub. I can't sew very well, so I had to do something else, and they were in need of drivers. So it's one of the things I can do, so I drove for the Scrub Hub, collecting and delivering patterns, rolls of fabric, completed articles, items of clothing, and then delivering the scrubs. to some very grateful healthcare workers. What I did, in fact it's still in the back of the car now, in the back window of the car I put on that this vehicle was being used as a collection and delivery vehicle for the Fylde Scrub Hub for NHS workers. And I don't know if it had any effect or not, but I was never stopped by the police and I was doing hundreds and hundreds of miles. No stress involved. Gillian was so good at working everything out and coordinating things. Not. No, there was no problem. During the 3 weeks of my furlough, I was obviously driving for the Scrub Hub, but unfortunately then I was called back into work and have been ever since. And so someone else had to take over my driving duties, which I was quite sad to do. But, if I've got to go back to work, I've got to earn a living. Every Saturday night, we fire up the barbie, we cook our dinner, obviously only for the household until now, because we couldn't have anyone around, but it was still a family time and it was great fun. And we drank a few gallons of our homemade wine and had the summer house where we'd have poker nights and Scrabble nights, and there's 2 bears in there that are the bad influence bears, and they're very naughty. And we had Paul with every Friday or Saturday night. You'd have a conference call with all his friends, and they'd have a theme. And one of the themes he was fancy dress, and so he went as Pablo Escobar. And I mean, to the point that he even shaved his beard off and left a moustache so he'd look like him, and he wrapped up some sugar to look like cocaine. And the bad influence bears got hold of that, and they were dealing with that and poker. And just laughs like that, we'll always make fun of as much fun as we can out of the situation, and not make fun of it, not take the mickey out of it, but have as much fun as we can. And so this just gives us an open avenue to do that, and it just there's a much silliness goes on in this household. And we have mega competitive Scrabble. I mean, just ridiculous, like every other word that somebody puts down, I'm just going to check that, check it on the relevant website, and not cheat at all with spare bags of Scrabble letters.
My name's Liz Girvan and I'm a driver for the Scrub Hub. I found out about the Scrub Hub through an old friend of mine, an old school friend. We go back about 30 odd years, and her husband was reposting the posts, giving information about the Scrub and everything they were doing. And they were after sewers, so I thought, right, I'll apply for that. By the time I got round to it, of course, they had plenty of sewers who were willing volunteers. And it was probably a good thing, because my sewing skills aren't that great anyway. Looking at the work that's been produced, it's all fantastic, and I can't sew like that. But anyway, then they started wanting drivers, so I thought, well, seeing as I'm a dog walker and I'm used to driving around all over the place, I'll apply to drive. So that's what I've been doing for the last couple of months. Driving during the lockdown has been surprisingly okay. At the beginning it was a bit scary because there weren't many vehicles on the road, and it felt kind of surreal because there was just no traffic around. But going to people's homes and going to care homes and various places has been great because we've socially distanced. And as time's gone on, the roads have got a lot busier, and now things sort of seem back to normal in a strange type of way. But yeah, I wasn't concerned about it. To be honest, it was far more scary going to the supermarket and doing our weekly shop. When the lockdown started, it was a bit scary, but it was like that for everybody because nobody really knew what was happening. Nobody had any information about the virus. Nobody knew how they were going to be affected, if they were going to be affected. So it was all a bit worrying at first. But as time's gone on and more information's been available and taking sensible precautions, it's sort of become normal now. Life's coming back to normal. Different sort of normal, but if we take precautions and make our own judgment about whether we feel safe to do things, then it's not really a problem. Yes, I'm still driving for the Scrub Hub now that the lockdown's coming to an end. I'm back at work. I'm a lollipop lady now, so I'm back at work patrolling the school that I work at. But I can still fit in working for the Scrub Hub, and that's absolutely fine. I'm enjoying doing it and quite happy to carry on as long as I need to.
I'm Bethan. I studied fashion at uni, so when I heard about the Scrub Hub through Instagram, actually, like people were sharing that everyone was chipping in to make some, I thought it would be a good opportunity to use my sewing skills while I was locked away. I think it started, I think maybe I found out about you like the week after it kind of all started getting going, and then it's pretty much kept me busy for the entire time, so it's helped to make things go a lot quicker. It took up a lot of my time, but in a good way, because there wasn't obviously not anything else to do, so it really helped fill my days, but I also wasn't, I did a good chunk in the day, but I wasn't putting myself under like loads of pressure to get up dead early and work till the middle of the night sort of thing. It was balanced. Yeah, Grandma's helped me with the bags, so I set up a little sweatshop with Grandma helping me out, I guess. She did all my snipping and all the bags, so team effort. Following Scrub Hub on social media, and then I just saw people were writing like nice little swing tag labels and things to attach to them to, like, I guess, an extra boost for the NHS staff, and a few people had been stitching in, and I've got an embroidery foot on my machine, so I just thought for an extra few minutes on each one it would be a nice, hopefully cheer up the people that received them.
I'm Laura Jamieson. I am a local socially engaged artist and producer from Blackpool area. I have made some labels for the Scrub Hub, for the packs to go out to people from some old postcards that I had from an old project. I wanted to get involved because I heard about the lack of scrubs for NHS workers and the need for local NHS workers to get the equipment that they needed, and this was a little way that I could get involved. Being quite frustrated about the government's response to the situation, and I was looking for something to get involved in to take some positive action that might help people in a small way. So lockdown for me has been interesting, trying to work and homeschool at the same time, but also it's given me the opportunity to do some things that I wouldn't normally have the time to do. More gardening, more making, but yeah, it's not been a terrible time for me, but there have been a lot of people to support around me and the family.
Hi, I'm Sue Mcabe. I've been sewing since I was 15. I started in a factory making coats and self-taught all my years. So I've been sewing now 55 years. So yeah, done all sorts. The lockdown, it's isolated because I've got cancer, so I can't go out at all. Have to rely on all the family to sort of look after me and bring me stuff. So it was a bit hard, really. I do miss my walks. It's very sad, really, I think. The fact that they didn't have anything in place when, I think years ago, they did a scenario about something like this, where they knew if something happened, they would need all this equipment, and it wasn't there. So I think that's a bit sad that it was there, not happening. So I'm making face masks with the bits of scraps that I've got left over, plus I've got loads in my sewing boxes. We're putting them in the garage, and we're getting donations for Trinity for the masks as they're being handed out. I did enjoy it because it's a lot of years since I've been able to get into that sort of a work mode where I could carry on just doing and seeing a result at the end of it, because I enjoy that. I'm a bit of a workaholic.
My name is Elizabeth Dennis. I work for UK Productions. I'm a costume designer for the theatre industry. I run a busy costume department. We produce touring theatre shows, musicals mainly, pantomimes. We hire costumes for the amateur dramatics, and we make costumes in-house. Obviously we have the skills necessary to help with the scrub situation, so I approached Gillian, sent her an email and said, is there a way we can help, knowing that I can cut the scrubs and I've got a team of seamstresses and sewers, so that could help, and we could do it reasonably speedily. So we contacted the Scrub Hub. I cut out the patterns in the workshop, so I have a big cutting table. We cut them out. I had an electric rotary cutter. Then we had three sewers originally. One then went back to work, and then we picked up another sewer. So there was always 3 in the team. It was Charlie Ashton, Grace Kingwell, Jo Booth and Emily Sanderson. So we just did it together really, and we did quite a lot in a week. Kept things going. We did, I think, 5 weeks altogether, and lots of various colours coming through. It was a little bit crazy personally because I have 2 young boys, so I was actually doing the schoolwork at the same time, so I was going in quite early in the morning to the workshop and then dropping the scrubs that I'd cut out mid-morning with the sewers, and then going and teaching, and then sometimes I'd go back in the evening and do a bit more cutting, because I actually ended up cutting for another scrub hub as well. So I've written it down that I think I ended up cutting out about over 300 scrubs. It was quite good in a way for me mentally, because I'm just used to being so very, very busy. So it kept me busy really. Other than it was going into work still for me really. Just it took me a little different rhythm, I guess, but it was quite nice driving to work and the roads being empty.
My name's Bethan. I work at Builder Supplies in Fleetwood, and when the lockdown started, I was keen to get involved with the scrubs movement, but really didn't have time to research it because we were still busy with dealing with work. I asked a friend to have a look into it for me, because all I could find on the internet were the national groups, which seemed a little bit unapproachable. So a good friend of mine who's good at IT had a really good route round and found the Fleetwood Scrub Hub with Gillian, and I rang up, and that's how it all started, and it's been very easy to be involved with. I first became aware that there was a shortage of scrubs by talking to a friend who has a daughter. She doesn't live in this area, she's down in Brighton, but her daughter was actually having to share a set of scrubs with a colleague, and it sounded horrific, actually on a COVID ward, having to make the amend and share the scrubs, which is what made me initially interested in it. And in the early days, there were a few people who seemed aware of it, but of course it gathered such momentum through the national group. I think you'd been hard-pressed not to be aware of it and not to feel really quite outraged that the PPE wasn't there for the people who were putting their lives at risk every single day for every one of us. I'm very much an amateur sewer. I was always more of a keen craft sewer and felt very anxious about the prospect of making actual scrubs. So I rang Gillian and asked whether making scrub bags would be useful, and she said yes, that would be great. I had a lot of lovely fabric, which was destined to be bunting for a friend's daughter's wedding, but like an awful lot of people, she had to postpone her wedding this year, my daughter alike. So the lovely pink colourful material went to make some very nice looking scrubs bags. By the end of the time making them, I think I made 96 altogether. They were being made out of duvet covers, pillowcases, curtains and anything we could find, but the first ones were very pretty. I actually enjoyed doing the sewing in the lockdown. It was a great way to take your mind off all the worries that everybody had and still has, obviously. And with the bags, because they were quite simple to sew and straight lines, you could drift off a bit and still keep the lines fairly straight, and just not worry as much, just think about something else for a while, which I really enjoyed. The whole process I've enjoyed. It's been really confidence boosting and fulfilling to think that you're actually doing something useful, which I think everybody wanted to do, and you can't always find something, and I was glad that I found something that I could contribute to. I've done so much sewing since. I thought I might get asked this, so I put an outfit on that I made during lockdown. Prior to lockdown, I'd been to a few sewing classes and attempted a few sort of fairly straightforward things, but the confidence I had from doing the sewing, because I did go on, as well as doing the bags, to start doing some scrubs for another local group, and the confidence that I had through doing all that it's just left me wanting to try more and more different things. So my main problem then was I'd used up all my fabric for the bags, but I found this which I liked. So yeah, I love the fact that it's made me more competent and confident.
My name is Sue, and I realised there was a need for scrubs to be sewn, so I looked through the YouTube and found Gillian's name and contacted her, and she gave me some work to do. I had a shop in Poulton for 30 odd years, sewing curtains mainly and doing alterations and anything that people asked for, basically, because I can't say no. So mainly curtains, I suppose, but I was happy to do these scrubs because it was just a nice change. Sewing these scrubs has been great for me, actually, because I'm not one to sit around and do nothing. So I'm glad I found you. Well, I'm looking after my mum, so we've both been in lockdown, really. I popped out 2 or 3 times, but I've got my daughter. My daughter's been able to do a bit of shopping for me. I think once you're a sewer, you're always a sewer, and you'll do anything. I don't know now. There aren't as many shops like I had these days, because there are a lot of ready-made curtains on the market. So it's changed. I'll continue with anything. Curtains are heavy work, actually, and I have retired. I will make small curtains, I suppose. We've moved on from swags and tails, which is what I was doing when we started. Swags and tails and tie-backs aren't quite so popular at the moment, so it's just straightforward curtains.
Hi, my name's Sue. I live in Preston with my husband Harry and my little dog Nell. And I heard about the scrub hubs just through the national newspapers, and then I went online and found out where my local scrub hub was and got involved from there. My mum taught me to sew quite early on. I was probably about 8 or 9, and over the years I've sewn odd things for myself and for family. It's only recently that I've been able to sew on a daily basis since I took early retirement. Generally, I make things for myself. I don't feel that confident making things for other people. Generally, it's more sort of special things, pretty tops, dresses, that sort of nice things that I make for myself. The process of making the scrubs was actually quite easy. The instructions were really clear, and I actually learnt a new skill on how to put elastic into a waistband, so that's been really useful for me, and I will definitely take that forward with me. My husband was really good. He helped out. He did some housework while I went sewing, so that was really, really helpful. But no, it was great. I think for me, receiving a whole roll of fabric to make as many scrubs as I could was a bit different to just buying a metre or 2 and making one dress. But no, it was really good. Enjoyed it. The process of sewing, it sort of takes you out of yourself. Takes you away from every day. It's quite therapeutic, I find. You're involved. It's quite mindful because you're involved in what you're doing. You're not really thinking about anything else, and it just gives you that little bit of a break from sort of everyday life. And hopefully, at the end of it, you've got something pretty to wear.